Godman Tower to leader, Flight 451. Godman Tower to leader, Flight 451. Come in.
Captain Mantell, Flight Leader F-51 to Godman Tower. Over.
Stand by for further instructions. Vector the flight into the area of the unknown. Vector Mantell on a heading of 210 degrees. Godman Tower to Captain Mantell. Come in, over.
Mantell to Godman Tower. Over.
Godman Tower to Captain Mantell. Investigate an unidentified object in your area. Your new course, 210 degrees. 210 degrees.
Mantell to Godman Tower. Changing heading to 210. Wilco, out.
One of the ships in Mantell's formation, NG-336, piloted by Lieutenant Hendricks, requested permission to land at Stanford Field to refuel and get oxygen. Permission was granted. Captain Mantell and the other two planes started to climb toward the object. The second pilot made a similar request. Both wingmen refueled and, after getting oxygen equipment, took off again. Captain Mantell, flying NG-3869, continued climbing, outdistancing his wingmen. At 14:45, Mantell called the tower.
Mantell to Tower. I see it. Above and ahead of me. I'm still climbing.
A few moments later, one of Mantell's wingmen was heard.
What the hell are we looking for?
After a moment, Captain Mantell made a reply.
Mantell to Tower. The object is directly ahead of and above me. Now moving at half my speed.
Godman Tower to leader, Flight 451. Godman Tower to leader, Flight 451. Come in.
Mantell to Tower. It appears to be a metallic object of tremendous size.
The object now was in visual view of the tower personnel.
Mantell to Tower. I'm trying to close in for a better look. I'll go to 20,000 feet.
Shortly after this, Pilot Hammond, the remaining wingman with Mantell, called Mantell over his radio.
Level off, Captain, until I've regained visual contact.
The personnel in Godman Tower waited tensely for Mantell's reply, but he made no answer. A moment later, Pilot Hammond made another report to the tower. Mantell seemed to have disappeared. Mantell had apparently climbed beyond his wingman. At 15:25, the remaining wingman broke off and returned to Stanford Field. The object, which was in visual sight from the tower, as were the F-51s during the chase, disappeared at approximately 15:50. The F-51s were first lost to view, and then the object went behind a cloud.
Godwin Tower to Captain Mantell. Come in. Over. This is Godwin Tower to Captain Mantell. Come in. Over.
At 17:50, Stanford advised Godman Tower that Mantell had crashed 5 miles southwest of Franklin, Kentucky. The crash had occurred at approximately 16:45. Captain Mantell was killed.
Statements were taken from all who were present in the tower during the Mantell sighting. The tower controller stated,
It looked silver or metallic.
the intelligence officer,
It appeared to be a bright silver object.
the executive officer,
It was circular in shape.
the AACS,
A small white object in the sky.
the operations officer,
It appeared round and white.
the commanding officer.
It could be seen plainly with the naked eye. The statements were typed up for the necessary signatures as the interrogation concluded. There was one point on which there was some disagreement. Not everyone who had been present in the tower had heard Mantell when he reported over the radio that he was moving in for a better look. The more lurid sections of the press reported that fragments of Mantell's plane were found to be radioactive. Some news sources reported that an autopsy revealed that Mantell had been killed by some kind of death ray unknown to our men of science. These reports were false.
Because certain publications persisted in using a sensational approach in reporting sightings, there were increasing demands from the public for an explanation. However, the Air Force had already taken official cognizance of the flying discs. Headquarters, United States Air Forces, issued a directive for a detailed study of flying disc reports. This project received a secret classification and the code name of Sign. Department of Air Force and Department of Army letters directed all respective subordinate units to report directly to Air Materiel Command all information concerning unidentified flying objects.
And so Project Sign was implemented. Trained investigators were dispatched to the exact scenes of the sightings. After thorough on-the-spot interrogations, the reports were sent on to ATIC for further analysis. Utah, Washington,
Norway, Sweden, Denmark,
South Korea, Ohio, New Jersey,
Oregon, Philippine Island,
Louisiana,
Alabama,
Tennessee,
Kansas, Massachusetts.
As an example of the credible type of sightings reported by reputable, trained observers was the report of Captain Willis Sperry.
What is your full name, Captain?
Captain Willis Sperry,
How long with American Airlines?
17 years,
What was the date of sighting?
May the 29th, 1950,
And the time of sighting?
9:30 in the evening,
The origin of sighting?
60 miles southwest of Washington, D.C.,
And the destination?
Nashville, Tennessee.
What was the visibility?
It was unlimited,
What was your altitude?
7,500 feet.
Who of the crew first saw the object?
The co-pilot called it to my attention as I had turned to reach for a map. The object was flying head-on at us. It was 50 times the magnitude of the brightest star. I immediately made an abrupt turn to avoid collision. As I looked to my left, the object appeared to come to a stop.
Can you describe the shape of the object?
It appeared as a perfectly streamlined object without wings or tail section, as it was silhouetted against the full moon. At all times, it had a brilliant, shimmering blue light in the nose. It was traveling at fantastic speed, and although it had passed off our left wingtip, it circled us in a matter of seconds and appeared off our right wing. There again, it stopped, and we watched it for several seconds. When again it started, it reversed its direction. We watched it for several more seconds until it disappeared in the east out of sight.
Have you ever seen any other similar object, Captain?
Never before or since.
On January 9th, 1950, the press reported that Project Sign was closed. From now on, the Air Force stated, its only similar activity would be the routine conventional watch for unidentified flying objects.
This is the Daily News building in Dayton, Ohio. My name is Al Chop. A short time after my discharge from the Marine Corps, I paid a visit to the newspaper where I had previously worked as a reporter for 5 years.
Well, Al, you rascal. Glad to see you.
Good to see you.
Keeping yourself.
The editor was a close friend, and he tried to convince me to take back my old job on the paper. He was very persuasive, but for personal reasons, it didn't interest me.
Oh, but you remember the old days here. Now it's all different. 3 hours for lunch, double time. Overtime, blonde copy girls.
Once he realized that my mind was made up, he made another suggestion. It was due to this casual suggestion that I walked right into the middle of the flying saucer story.
Ever since the Korean situation, there's a lot of activity out at Air Materiel Command. You could fit right in that public information office there.
Who's the man to see out there?
Friend of mine, Major Cross. I'll call him now.
The idea appealed to me. I'd always been intensely interested in aviation. Also, I liked the idea of settling down in Dayton again. Both Dee, my wife, and I had a lot of friends there. It would be like coming home again. The editor set up an appointment for me at Air Materiel Command. This is what I wanted, but a man never knows what he's getting into. The next day, I went out to AMC and talked to the major. He seemed satisfied with my newspaper background. I was interviewed by a personnel official who filled out the necessary papers preliminary to an Air Force security check.
Full name?
Albert M. Chop, C-H-O-P.
Age?
35.
Married? Wife's name?
Dolores.
Children?
Girl, age 11, boy 5.
Take this to room D.
Thank you. Shortly after, I went on the AMC payroll on the PIO desk. I soon shook down into the routine of the public information desk. There was a wide diversification of projects for which I wrote material. Most of it was released as newspaper copy, with an occasional article published in the magazines. I wrote a piece on a portable printing press that could be set up close to the front line. These presses printed daily bulletins, which proved of great value in sustaining morale of frontline troops. I did a few pieces on helicopters, which were coming into wide use in Korea. Newsweek magazine printed this, and it also appeared in many of the country's leading newspapers. Then, one morning about 10 o'clock, I got a call from a newspaper editor in Boston. The Boston editor wanted confirmation or official information on a flying saucer report out of Sioux City, Iowa. I told the editor that Project Sign had been officially closed. He was insistent, so finally I called Air Technical Intelligence Center.
No, Chop. We have no report on Sioux City or any other sighting. You people on PIO desk ought to know we've closed Project Sign.
For the next couple of hours, calls came in from newspapers all over America. Gradually, I was able to piece the story together. On the previous evening, a commercial airline DC-3 in Sioux City, Iowa, had requested clearance from the tower to take off. The tower held them up, informing the pilot that there was a light in the west that they thought might be a light plane. The tower stated that they were trying to contact it, but were unsuccessful. The tower was in contact with another light plane that was coming in for a landing. The DC-3, engines idling, stood by at the end of the runway until the light plane landed and taxied off the strip. The tower then gave the DC-3 pilot permission to take off. As the DC-3 climbed for altitude, an unidentified light suddenly closed in. This was the object that the tower unsuccessfully had tried to contact by radio. The tower observed this and radioed the DC-3, but the light had already been observed by both the pilot and co-pilot.